Okay, so I lied a little. Gonna have a little bit of a new format today, but maybe it'll work out. Hello, and welcome to Gothiture, where we talk about dark romanticism and Gothic literature. So today's gonna be a little bit different. When I made my introduction to the literary vampire video, in my head I was all about giving a basic rundown on Byron and Polidori. Well, that didn't happen. So that is where we're going to talk about today. Let me know in the comments if I pronounce anything wrong, and I do apologize in advance. Lord Byron was born in London as George Gordon Noel Byron on January 22nd, 1788. He was the son of Catherine Gordon Gite and Captain John Mad Jack Byron, a widower with a daughter from a previous relationship named Augusta. The captain spent all Catherine's inheritance and was absent for George's birth. Byron was raised in an atmosphere that lacked stability. She would give him excessive tenderness, but also show insensitivity and mockery of his clubbed foot. Byron's nurse taught him from the Bible and ultimately developed a passion for the Bible and an interest in Calvinistic doctrines, specifically the ideas of predestination, of people being innately evil and that there is a predestined salvation. In 1798, the fifth Lord Byron died, leaving George to become the sixth Baron Byron of Rochdale, the heir to Newstead Abbey in Nottinghamshire, and he enjoyed this new role. From 1801 to 1805, Byron attended the Harrow School. He then attended Trinity College in Cambridge, and from 1805 to 1808, it was there that he received his master's degree. It was at this point that he began really living extravagantly. This would ultimately be the start of the massive debts he would acquire that would follow him. In late 1806, he printed and distributed his first book of poetry, anonymously called Fugitive Pieces. These were poems inspired by his experience while studying at Harrow and Cambridge. Byron continues to write and publish his works and ultimately meets John Polidori, who becomes his personal physician. Excuse me. Now, I don't seem to have as much information on Polidori as I do Byron, but he was born John William Polidori in 1795 to an Italian scholar and translator Gaetano Polidori and English lady Anna Maria Pierce. Not much seems to be known about Polidori other than he was by nature dashing, reckless, impetuous, headstrong, and impatient, but also a man of honor, highly intelligent, ambitious, sensitive, and a talented, aspiring author. John Polidori was one of the first students in attendance at Ampleforth College in 1804, and by 1810 he was studying medicine at the University of Edinburgh. His medical dissertation on what happens with the imagination during sleep, specifically nightmares and sleepwalking. Sadly, his dissertation is not given much thought in modern academia due to its being written in Latin, and limited translations of it are available. In 1815, Polidori graduated, becoming a medical doctor at the age of 19. The next year, Polidori was appointed to the highly prestigious position of private physician and traveling companion to Lord Byron, who was about to go into a voluntary exile in Europe. Polidori had written a handful of stories and poems published by the time he went on the trip to the Lake of Geneva with Lord Byron in 1816. We know that was the night Frankenstein the Vampire and Fragment of a Novel were written. In 1819, the story was published anonymously. However, because it was anonymous and so similar to Byron's work, it was attributed to Lord Byron. There are also some sources that state that Polidori did not partake in the story contest, and The Vampire was written after they left the lake house. However, I have found no sources I am comfortable enough citing that proves this. If you happen to know of any, please let me know in the comments. I would love to have a fuller picture into this event. John Polidori died in 1821 at the age of 25. Some scholars believe it was an overdose from self-medicating after a riding accident, while others claim it was an act of suicide by cyanide caused by depression. The coroner's official report said it was by the visitation of God, or what we would say is natural causes. Polidori's sister Frances married Gabriele Rossetti in 1824, thus linking two highly cultured Anglo-Italian families, and gave birth to Dante Gabriel, who made a substantial contribution to art with the pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, and Christina Rossetti, a pre-Raphaelite poet who wrote The Goblin Market. Now, in that same year, 1824, Lord Byron fell ill with epileptic fits. The usual treatments for this was bleeding, however, this left him weak. A few months after his first fit, he was caught in a storm, and he, quote, caught a violent cold which was soon aggravated by the bleeding insisted on by doctors. He eventually slipped into a coma and died in April of that same year. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on Byron and Polidori, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Good night.